Okay, so we have picked up over here on uh, our personal page. Oh, thank you. To see if we can get Jeremiah on so he can add his experience and expertise. The subject of this live is reentry. So we're going to review what is reentry and how the Voices for Voices organization uh, is really integrating that piece into what we do on a daily basis as an organization. And what I was chatting about here before we switched over, we were on the Voices for Voices link, LinkedIn, Facebook page, and it wasn't allowing us to have a co-host, and so that's what we're doing. We're trying to get our co-host added uh, so that he can share his expertise uh, with us and with you. He has so Jeremiah Tomko's on our board of directors and has a lot of case management experience and really brought re-entry and what that is to the organization last year. It's with his guidance that we've really been able to uh, yeah, bring that part of our organization, and in the end, it's helping others. Is what we're trying to do wherever that leads us. We're going to do that. We as If you've followed Voices for Voices for any stretch, whether one day or the whole time we've been an organization. I have this huge goal wanting to help 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond, and that's just a humongous goal. But I think big, and so that's how we got there. Uh, what I was alluding to here before I switched over from our Facebook page, our Voices for Voices organization page, which I recommend if you haven't already to follow us. You'll see the latest content, the latest episode we just dropped. Actually, kind of did a duo drop today. We dropped 2 episodes. Our regular in studio episode, episode 181, and then we also did a drop tonight of episode 182. And so we have another big goal. We're going to hit 300 episodes total by the end of 2025. So we have some big things that we're doing in Voices for Voices, and we'd love to have you follow, join, like, give us a thumbs up to help that. All that is cost free, doesn't cost anything, and we greatly appreciate that. And we're on all major social media platforms. And so what I was mentioning was sometimes we don't feel that we're making an impact. We don't feel we're making a difference because we may be looking at certain analytics and the analytics such as, let's say, for an organization, right? You're looking to make money, you're looking to increase sales, and maybe sales aren't increasing, they're not increasing at the rate that was expected. And so you or I may think, oh, we're not making a difference. We um, we're we're not making a difference. I guess as easy as that sounds. So that makes us kind of question what we're doing. Is it worth doing what we're doing because we're not making a difference in our mind, in our eyes. And we had a we had a filming of some episodes, some future episodes of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast, and it was brought to our attention, which you'll see in the near future on the particular episode. Is brought to our attention that we actually, as an organization, were actually reaching and helping individuals, and we're just because we're not looking at these certain metrics that we're looking at. That sometimes we get our heads down and say, "Oh, why am I doing this? I feel useless." We found out that we're in fact helping and have, through our show, through our organization, we're helping thousands of individuals, and that's just here in the state of Ohio. And when that was brought to our attention, I was just absolutely blown away and shocked that that was the case. But it took one of our valued guests to share that, uh, and so I was reinvigorated as, as knowing now that, okay, that the metrics we look at, that that doesn't cover all the metrics, that there can be numbers here and there and this area and that area that we might not be looking at the whole time. And so I just want to thank, and it's not me, it's not the organization, it's actually you, our viewers, our listeners, that have been with us and consumed, viewed, listened to all the episodes, some of the episodes, and in one in particular, we talk about human trafficking, and we, as a population, we don't want anybody to be trafficked, so we want that number to be zero. However, if we're not able to take that to zero, if we're able to reduce it at some level, then we have the knowledge that we are, in fact, uh, helping people, uh, and so I didn't look at it like that, uh, but now I look at things differently, and that was just this morning, that came to our light to, just incredible. So we want to thank you, our viewers, our listeners, checking out our transcripts, our followers that are been with us from the very first episode when we were only in the studio, the audio studio, and we were bringing in kind of the podcast, what is traditionally the audio, to now we're in the TV studio. We're hitting 51 countries, 520 cities across the world. And so we know we're making a huge difference. So I just want to thank our guests today, David and Amanda Solomon, who brought that to light, and so sometimes we have to swallow our pride a little bit and just have the faith that what we're doing matters and it's helping. Just because we may not see it with our own eyes or hear it with our own ears, doesn't mean that it's not happening. So that was just that was huge. So it looks like Jeremiah, are you there, Jeremiah? So added, added. Let me try adding again. I don't know why. Yeah, it looks like has been added. Okay, so we'll continue on reentry. I'm gonna try my best to share what reentry is and how it pertains to our organization. So we're gonna shoot for a half hour, maybe a little bit less on this, and in future lives that we do, 30 minutes to 60 minutes will kind of be what we're aiming for. And as we know, conversation sometimes it goes longer, sometimes it goes a little bit less than. So reentry. So Jeremiah, on our board of directors, he brought to my attention that last year that there was and is an organization here locally in the state of Ohio, Northeast Ohio, Summit County, and the organization is named the Citizen Circle, and the name really is very symbolic because it's citizens, so it's people from the local area that want to help. In circle, meaning we're bringing all walks of life, all kinds of vendors and organizations, agencies that want to reach out and help others. And so, how this is a little bit different than other organizations and other meetings that are out there is this term reentry. And to be kind of the Webster's dictionary, Wikipedia is very blunt with what reentry is as it pertains to our conversation, is that individuals who have uh, recently been incarcerated, they're being say, released. They've done their time, and so they're coming back into the community. And we can look at things, a few different ways. The one way I like to look at things is, number one, we want, and you've heard me say this from day one, we want people, if they're breaking the law, we want them to be held accountable for that. Uh, if they do break the law, then are uh, they they need to be held accountable. They need, if there's time, whether it's uh, uh, I'm trying to think of kind of the best words, but if they have to do time, in a jail, in a prison, uh, kind of like a halfway house, or the like, uh, we we believe that individuals need to be held accountable. So that's first and foremost. We still, however, are able to, as human beings, look at individuals who have done wrong, uh, and say, you know what, why should I help, or why should I offer a service or a resource uh, to these individuals, uh, and we like to take the approach of going back to being held accountable, doing the time. And so we're not saying that the crime that they did is not something that's bad. We agree that somebody does a crime, they break the law, that they need to go through the criminal justice system. How however that plays out. And then on the other side, as I was alluding to, we can, as human beings, we can not love the actual crime and the actions that the individuals have taken. And on a little bit of a parallel path, we can think of ourselves that we we can probably think, and I'm speaking for myself, that there's probably things in our past that we're not happy that we did, that we were a part of. And I'm not saying that we broke the law in that. What I'm saying is that there are things that, we hear the term, skeletons in the closet. Uh, and so on that level, we look at it and say, who am I to judge that this individual, that individual, kind of coming to reintegrate the best way possible into society. And so we cannot love the crime, not love what the particular action is. But as a human being, we can look at an individual and say, how would I, the kind of golden rule, uh, treat others how we want to be treated. And really, not to get philosophical, but I'm going to get a little bit philosophical. That's kind of how we need to look at things in our opinion, and that's us. That's our organization, Voices for Voices. That's our leadership team. Uh, and so this element of an individual who has done their time, they're coming back into society, and we can either provide some resources and some help while also making those individuals uh, kind of fight for that, and in the sense of, they got to put some skin in the game. These aren't what we do with this citizen circle, whether it's child support or getting a birth certificate so they can they lost their birth certificate so they can get their birth certificate so they can apply to get either their license or just their ID card so that they can apply to a job. Uh, things like that are some of the things that the Citizen Circle really offers. The job and family services, making sure the children are safe. They're, again, following the law. They're with who the criminal justice system says, parents, other family members, however that is laid out, that that the children are safe. But if there's a way to work custody at some level into play, and again, we don't, as an organization, we don't do that type of work. I'm just giving an example of some of our fellow just community individuals that are coming together to share resource and be a source, a resource for people who are, they're coming home with not a lot, and they could come home with the clothes on their back, and that could be all. So from food, how are they going to get their next meal, to how are they going to obtain employment that will, again, it'll, the background check and all that's going to come back and show what those individuals have done. And so what we call second chance employers is really what we're talking about there, where some organizations, hopefully more and more, come to the forefront, but they give the second chance of, hey, this person's messed up, uh, but if they're gonna be a positive asset, they're gonna come, they're gonna do the work it's being asked, then we'll give them that second chance. And so that's huge. And I know I've taken advantage of a lot of things that when I first sat in that Citizen Circle meeting and saw grown men to brought the volunteers over the resources and individuals who actually are there to care. And I believe there's 50 or 51 resources, such as Voices for Voices, that do attendees once a month, the second Thursday of every month. Uh, and and the individuals are vetted, so they go through a little bit of a process to get to the point that they actually to come into the boardroom, where we have the circle, which is our chairs in the shape of a circle. And so we want to uh, be as helpful as possible. And one of the questions that one of our fellow members, Charles, gets to usually ask, because he's usually sitting in that spot, is, did you expect all of this? Uh, from here's a free lunch, to here's a way that we can help you, knock some things off of your list that uh, might be hindering, kind of that reintegration, that re-entry into society. So we don't love the crime, we don't love the actions at those given points, but as human beings, we can love the individual and think about that golden rule of, uh, if I was in that situation, I want to treat others how I wish that I'd be treated. When, if for some reason we're in that situation, to come home to a community that, again, doesn't love the crime, but we love the human being, and we want to, see individuals that are they're clothed, that they have a shelter that keeps them safe, that they have uh, bus passes, that they have a way to get additional food for meals until they get back on their feet, that they can uh, food stamps, whatever, Medicaid, from the healthcare side. And so there's just so many different areas that we don't we don't we don't specialize with Voices for Voices. But what we do with this reentry process is we come to the table, and I am grateful to have been able to put a couple of books together. They're under the title The House of You. So one is The House of You Prescription for Living, and that's my mental health story. But from uh, what we're really trying to do from the aspect of the Citizen Circle, is the second book is the House of You, 5 workforce preparation tips for a successful career. And it's just really kind of a basic how to get started with a resume, to look at employers, to look at uh, interview questions, common interview questions that will be asked of the individual being interviewed, as well as questions that they can ask the employer. Uh, and so that's what we do. So we donate books, uh, and hand sign them and personalize them to their name. So again, just makes them feel a little bit more wanted, and a little bit more accepted, however little. Um, and so from our perspective, like, we're not moving mountains. We're doing what can be uh, considered something very minor, and that may be the case. But on that given day, that might be something that the individual, and usually we go through, depending on the day, 7 to 10 uh, clients to come in, and one reason or another, sometimes they don't attend. Maybe um, they're trying to process the bus schedule or a ride to come to the actual Citizen Circle meetings. for the reentry. And so we allow them to reschedule for a future date. So not only do we donate the books, and again from my time being and still being an instructor, teaching marketing and business, while also bringing kind of that career side of things. So I've been gainfully employed. I've been let go as far as a layoff. Uh, I've been a manager, a non-manager, so I kind of bring a lot of experience to the table. So I'm an expert on me and my experiences. And so one of those experiences, one of those topics might be a topic that really hits home with an individual, any individual that reads the book, but especially individuals who are coming back from doing time away in prison and jail. So again, we don't love the crime, but we can love the human and give the resources to that. So we do the books, as well as you may or may not know, on our Voices for Voices YouTube page. You're going to have to scroll down quite a way. Um, but we put together a day of the interview seminar. So I believe it's around an hour, where I go through the content that really is in the House of You, the 5 workforce preparation tips for a successful career. I go over the day of the interview to try to relieve some stress that uh, that really brings an interview, one of the most stressful days of our lives. And so any way we can reduce stress, reduce having to think as much, and so something as small as picking out clothes the night before, driving, or having somebody drive you to where the interview is going to take place, so you have an idea or I have an idea of how long it's going to take to head to that interview. So I show up at the 10 to 15 minutes early, and I can get settled in my car, or if the bus is bringing me, I can just settle myself a little bit before going in to the interview itself. So this day of the interview seminar that I put together with sign language interpretation, that was provided from the Kent State University American Sign Language program. So they did signing for that particular seminar. And what we also do at the Citizen Circle, besides uh, donating a book to each of the individuals that comes through there, is we have certificates that we also hand sign, personalize to the individual, because it's my thought that in somebody that's living with depression, and even if you have depression or not, there's days that it's hard to get out of bed, that it feels like a feat just to brush your teeth or get a shower. And and so thinking like that, I can just only imagine what somebody who has recently been incarcerated may not have transportation, very little clothing, very little access to food. And so for that individual to even get to the Citizen Circle, the on-site, uh, where we hold the Citizen Circle meeting, uh, each month, the second Thursday of every month. So for that individual to even get to that point, to sit in front of a really a room of strangers, they don't know us, we don't know them, and so for them to do that, uh, we as a Voices for Voices organization, we think that that's how they're starting to put their skin in the game, as we referred to it earlier. So we personalize, we sign a certificate, to those individuals. And again, with my teaching background and professional and now in the nonprofit space, running uh, with our team, Voices for Voices, that that certificate can be very helpful. And the way it can be helpful is as simple as that individual goes to an interview, and having gone through this lots of interviews on both sides of the table, one of the big questions that gets asked at the end or somewhere uh, somewhere along the way that interview is, why should we hire you instead of the other candidates that we're interviewing. And one thing that I learned from my experience was an interview experience that I had. Um, and I'm not sure how I really learned about it, but I put together a portfolio, and we'll go over this in a later live. But portfolio of some of the past work that I had done, so different charts and graphs and surveys and the like, and so I just have it put together kind of in a little neat binder, something very inexpensive at Office Space, Office Max, really anywhere that has binders, and that way you can keep it together. And so when you go from interview to interview, or you get that job offer, you accept the job offer, and you may not be interviewing for a while, so you can just put that on the shelf and it'll be ready uh, for that next interview, and you can update it as you go along. So that certificate that I mentioned that we do give to the individuals that do come to Citizen Circle in reentry, uh, one of that questions is, why should we hire you? Why should we offer you the position instead of somebody else? And I learned, again, through my experience, I had this portfolio, let's call it, and it doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It can be very straightforward of, here's something that I did, here's an example, and then you're able to explain it in that interview. And so I went into this interview, and it was the first interview that I went to with the portfolio, so I didn't know what to expect. And so what actually happened was really, really two things. One, it answered the questions that the interviewers were asking me of, why should we hire you? Well, here, let me show you some of my past experience of how this relates to my experience relates to what is being asked for this particular job. So that's one thing. The second thing is it reduces stress. And you might be thinking, well, how is this reducing stress? What it's doing is, as humans and as human nature, if we're able to see and to dial in that way, uh, we like pictures, we like photos, we like charts and colors and graphs and the like. And so the moment that I opened up my portfolio and was explaining each page, I think I had maybe 15 different pieces of artifacts of work that I had previously done in other positions. So as I have the portfolio open and I'm speaking through, here, this is project one, here's project two, here's project three. It it being the attention of the interviewers, the attention went from, everybody looking at me to everybody taking a look at the portfolio. And if there's more than one person that's interviewing you, or you know, you slide that portfolio over, and then you show them as you're speaking through kind of the details behind it. And so there was less stress, meaning the eyeballs weren't on me when the portfolio was in front of the interviewers. And so you can kind kind of sense that the interviewers are still attentive to you or I in that interview, but you're shifting that focus from just strictly question one, question two, question three, and checking out our eye contact, our body language, uh, all of that, to here's something to look at that really illustrates um, how I can be an asset to your organization. So the certificate, as we circle right back, using the citizen circle terminology, as we circle back to the certificate, individuals that are coming through reentry, when they are asked that question of why should I hire you instead of another candidate, having that certificate is, you can think of, uh, kind of that portfolio currency that we have, things that represent us and things that we have done, that we are showing our worth to these other individuals. And so we already know our worth, and if we don't, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult. But we're really selling ourselves in that moment, in those moments where we're interviewing in front of people, again, we don't even know. And so that's very similar to this reentry citizen circle, where these individuals are coming into a room where they don't know anybody either, and we don't know them. What we're really trying to do is just connect on a human level. Uh, and so taking it back to how do I know that the portfolio thing is helpful? So that first time I had that portfolio and I utilized that in an interview, I earned a job offer, and I ended up accepting that job offer. And I had an opportunity at a later date, because I was in the future employed with them. I asked kind of say the higher person title wise, so like the vice president. So I asked her, why did you hire me instead of somebody else you could hire, somebody internally and had less training, uh, among other things. And what she told me was, she was like, you brought a portfolio that showed me and the team things that you had done prior and how that aligned to the position. And so what that then ended up being was, that was a um, kind of a different and better, an added bonus that I had that seemed small, uh, but that was a reason, or the reason, that I was offered that position. So by bringing just that story and that experience to these meetings, which with actually the month of February's meeting is actually tomorrow, uh, and so by bringing in these certificates for the individuals that come and uh, show up, when they can feel down even more than anybody. If, they're at the meeting talking about some of the worst days of their lives that put them in the criminal justice system. So for them to uh, come that day, uh, we feel as an organization, again, we're not uh, we're not reaching out to other employers uh, to recommend. We're not using, say, hey, use us as references. That's something we're not doing. But what we are doing, again, we're going to give resources. We're going to give things that can put them in a better light. Uh, and so the first is having a copy of the book that's signed. I know even myself, if I get something that's signed, a book that's signed by an author or an autographed picture, uh, it it kind of uplifts me. So I can imagine that a signed book with having two and then their name, and then just autographing it, signing it. Uh, makes individuals, feel a little bit more accepted. And to those that are uh, a little bit further on that continuum, we'll we'll take a couple photos here. We'll take some selfies, and then we'll post that on our Voices for Voices site across social media. So you may have seen from time to time, we maybe once a month, once every couple of months, we'll wait till we usually have a two, three, four photos. Because again, individuals they're like, well, I don't want my picture taken because people that were impacted by my crimes might see it, and so we understand that. So it's totally up to the individual if that's what they want to do. So we'll do that, and we'll we'll put a photo uh, together with myself, and we'll post that. Um, so a certificate and a book may seem very minimal to you and I and a lot of other people. Uh, but again, by loving the person uh, and bringing whatever we can to the table, I can't help an individual get their birth certificate or uh, you know, I help them with food, like a food pantry, like one of our great friends of the organization and mine, uh, Dan Flowers, President CEO of the Akron Kent Regional Food Bank. He his organization touches 700 organizations throughout the Akron Canton regional area to provide food, as well as when we have disasters, natural disasters happen, hurricanes. Uh, they they come willing to help, uh, and so having Dan as a resource to be able to recommend the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank for it to individuals is something that we like to do because they're in the business. We're in the business at Voices for Voices to help, and so is Dan and his team. Uh, and I want to add that Dan also uh, has been a guest. Try to do once a year, if, kind of updating where the Akron Canton Regional Food Bank is. Some of the stats that they bring, uh, and it's coming up really on a year on March 1st, where my dad passed away, and a couple of years prior, Dan his father passed away, and he was so kind and generous on one of the episodes of our show to really just talk as like a human, and kind of as we're trying to talk to people, kind of that second chance as a human. He was talking to me as a human that had a big loss of his father a couple of years ago, and some of the emotions that he's gone through, and so we talked about grief and how the human body and how he has experienced grief and how he's processing it, knowing that everybody's different, uh, but to have somebody at that level, uh, CEO, president, CEO of a very well-known organization, uh, was and still is one of the memories that I have by having him there uh, to just talk as human to human, and then we did we filmed another episode where we we dove into the service of providing food to the community, and then individuals that were and actually when we interviewed him, the hurricane that came through North Carolina had just happened, and so he was talking about how he coordinates what food he sends to an affected area, and so he was talking about a little bit about the supply chain on, well, we don't want to uh, send a particular area, one thing or another, because they may already have that one thing. They may need another food item. And so then he's able to go in his inventory and his team to pull uh, that particular item as much as they're able to, while continuing to be able to, um, you know, service the local community. And so he's able to send that item that is specific to what the need is of those individuals. And so it was just fascinating to learn about that. And so this conversation we're having tonight, it really revolves just around humanity. And uh, and so that's what we want to do from time to time. We'll put a Facebook Live together, and hopefully be able to get Jeremiah on as a co-host, because he has way more experience in this reentry process, being a case manager, and the work that he does, security, uh, and if it wasn't for Jeremiah, we as an organization, I wouldn't have even known about this Citizen Circle. I wouldn't even known that there was this organization that was pulling community members to really, wrap their arms in a way around individuals who, again, we don't like the crime that was committed. We want individuals to be prosecuted to the fullest extent. But when they've done their time, uh, we we think, just as a human being, what can we do as individuals and as an organization. And so there's individuals who offer mental health care, and they're able to set up appointments with them. So we do less kind of on the mental health side. So I don't uh, we don't pass out, my mental health journey to individuals, because uh, those individuals are already going through enough, and that's the last thing that we want to do. We want to help them heal, not read about somebody else's mental health journey. So that's why we really focus in on the career aspect, and how we can help out. So the reentry part, that is a newer part of what we're doing at Voices for Voices. And again, it all comes back to helping people, and we can help a lot of people. Uh, and it doesn't mean that we have to be so specific that we only help, this type of individual, or somebody with bipolar or depression, or some things that I'm still working through. And again, as we know, mental health wise, we're not uh, it's not something that that we're automatically healed one day. We may have better days than others, but we're still working through it. So whether that's medication and therapy, whether that's just therapy, uh, whatever that is, we want to help in whatever way. And so with this reentry part of Voices for Voices, the career side is where we feel, and where we've gotten feedback that we're doing a pretty good job to just be there as a resource. And so what we also wanted to do, and I mentioned that we had filming earlier today for some future episodes. We actually brought the co-leaders of the Citizen Circle, Lisa Dolan and Sean Bonner. We invited them to be a guest on our TV show and podcast. So we filmed 2 episodes with them today. And so those will be airing and coming out at a later date. And those will be posted, as all episodes are posted, uh, as they come out. And their episodes will be coming through the Hudson Community Television, as all our Wednesday premiere episodes do, as well as however else you consume content, whether it's audio, Apple Podcast, Spotify. I mean, the list goes on, or through YouTube or Rumble on the video side. Uh, and so you don't have to live in Hudson, Ohio, in the Western Reserve area to actually watch the televised show every Wednesday at 4. You can actually go to the Hudson Community Television Facebook page, and you can watch off of there. I believe there's a link there, and you can also or you can Google Hudson Community Television and go to their website, and you'll be able to see, we're able to watch live TV. And so if you tune in at 4 o'clock Eastern time every Wednesday, you're going to catch a new episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. The episodes that we do remotely, some of them we we don't run through the TV station uh, because it's a weekly show, and so there's 52 weeks generally, in a calendar year, and so we're limited to 52 episodes a year to be able to have that weekly show. But that doesn't stop us from having additional episodes where we're able to film on location, many times from my house. If we attend uh, different events, different things that we're at, we'll film an episode here and there. I filmed one in actually a couple when I was in Ukraine. Uh, we're actually going to be heading to Italy here at the end of April to play with Hearts for Music uh, it's going to be at Vatican City in the Vatican. And so basically, 2025 is a jubilee year. So it's a big year for the church, and the month of April it focuses on individuals with disabilities, and so I've become good friends with the Hearts for Music director, Kitcherell Chen, and he's a music an art therapist, and then Hearts for Music is his organization where he brings people with all kind of disabilities. I mean, I think we all have a disability, whether it's labeled that or not. Uh, and so I'm going to uh, head over with his orchestra and play in in the Vatican that is very close. That the Pope might stop by, and so that's something that's a once in a lifetime experience to be able to do that, to get an official invitation from the Vatican. Uh, it, it was incredible when Kitcherell let me when he shared that with me. And so as an organization, we're going to be able to, again, help others in a little bit of a different way uh, than maybe traditionally is thought. So we'll probably do a couple episodes while we're over in Rome, and so those will be filmed, and then they'll air at a later date. And so that's, when I talk about filming a remote episode. So that's an episode that's not in the television studio that we every Wednesday are really grateful to be able to put a put a show together. Every a new one every Wednesday. Some are we do multiple parts, so there might be part one week, one Wednesday, and then part two the second Wednesday. But regardless, if you're not able to tune in to the Hudson Community Television Facebook page or their website, or if you live in the Western Reserve area and you have Spectrum TV, I believe it's channel 1021, you can watch that. We get our organization, we get the exact same high definition video files that air on TV. So that's what goes on our YouTube and Rumble page. And then we get the audio file that comes uh, comes from the studio that we upload to Buzzsprout, and Buzzsprout distributes it, to all the different, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, down the list. So over 17 platforms you can uh, find our TV show and podcast. And so once an episode premieres or airs, then it's available. So you're able to go through our catalog to right now of all the episodes that we have filmed. And again, we dropped episode 181 today, that was filmed in the traditional Wednesday episode of 4 p.m. So we have that also again on all platforms. And then we dropped at 7 o'clock tonight Eastern Time, episode 182. So be on the lookout for more content. We're at 182, but we're going to hit episode 300 by the end of 2025. We filmed, just to give you an idea, in the month of January, we filmed 16 episodes in 30 days. So we want to continue to share information. We want to share sometimes, hot stories at the moment. And so that's when we'll go ahead and we'll film a segment or an episode, uh, and get that out a little bit quicker. And so we won't go into the studio for those. And so we cover a wide variety of topics. Uh, and again, if you can give us a thumbs up on the episodes, if you can share, if you can follow us, all things that don't cost any money, we would greatly appreciate that. Uh, well, it looks like Jeremiah's having issues with his phone. No problem. Well, this isn't the last live that we're doing. This is the first of many that we're going to do. So we'll dig in at the next Facebook Live. Probably be at least maybe a week or two, and then we'll reconvene. Hopefully, be able to get Jeremiah on here from his perspective, so he can really share his experience with reentry, what it means to him, the importance, and how it is integrated into his career, uh, and how we're doing at Voices for Voices, because we can always do better. Our way is not always the best way. There's experiences we bring to the table, uh, but we're nobody's perfect, so we definitely take feedback and ideas, and we go from there. Okay, so we're gonna call this a show. This was a little bit longer than what an average show will be. Thanks for sticking with us. We really appreciate, again, the support, whether it's financially, whether it's just watching us, listening to us, sharing our show with others. We're making a difference, and the difference is because of people like you that are consuming, sharing the show, and just wanting to help our fellow human beings. So until next time, my kind of call, my sign off for show is, till next time. We hope that you can be a voice for you, or somebody in need, because we all know that uh, from time to time we all need a little bit of help, and that can come in various forms. And so when we're talking about, when we did talk about reentry tonight, we're talking about individuals that made some poor decisions. Well, we've all made poor decisions at a given time, uh, and so we want to, again, just to summarize, we don't love the crime, but we can love the individual and help them in whichever way that we can, and that we believe in. So How are we doing that? We're doing that from the career side. We're helping just individuals who come to that reentry citizen circle meeting that are talking about some of the worst days of their lives, the worst things that they've done, and they don't know any of us. And so for Voices, just to be a minor part in that and to help out by personalized books, by certificates to help in a job interview. That's something that we really we're just trying to do the best that we can, because we all know that uh, life comes and life goes, uh, and to be able to leave a legacy, to be helping people, is something that here kind of on like the second half of my life really been really just being very say consistent, but very intentional with some of the things that we do. So when you see the posts, when you see our shows, you see how many episodes, it's because of that passion that I have. It's passion like Jeremiah has, other members of our board and the community, that allows us to be able to try to help as many people as we can. Uh, so thank you for tuning in, and I believe this will be available for 30 days on our now that we switched over from our Voices for Voices Facebook page for this to my personal Justin Allen Hayes page. I believe the live shows are the same, where they're available for 30 days. So if you want to rewind, watch uh, the whole thing over, or just check out different parts, you can do that. And again, we'll be coming to you in this venue here, as we move forward. So as I was mentioning, please be a voice for you or somebody in need, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.